Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Boxmining. I see myself here. It's getting like a 15-second delay actually. Like, I'm like, oh my god, this guy's just typing on his keyboard. Ha ha ha. But anyways, welcome back, guys, to another episode of Boxmining live stream here, where we talk live what is happening in the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, everything space. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today is bright and early in Hong Kong, 11 a.m. in the morning here on the 12th of March already. Man, time is moving very, very quickly, but there's also a lot of news front side as well. There's a lot happening on the Binance side. Recently, they have a regulator joining them, and we can definitely see that this is a big announcement, right? Regulators helping them with getting crypto adoption forward. I think this is something that's going to be a new trend coming forward. Binance is definitely laughing themselves off because they definitely found a good proponent for their platform. But I think this is something that's going to go on for most of crypto as well. We also have the whole side in the US also got Coinbase doing their stuff. We've been going through some very, very big changes in how crypto is actually seen, and I think that's a really great thing. And well, we packed this episode with a bunch of new stuff. There's a lot happening today, so we're gonna go over what's happening on the markets. You can see how many tabs I have open. There's a lot of news that's gonna be coming in today. So we have the markets first, then we have the news, and then we're gonna talk a special interview as well. We have a special live stream interview during the mid of this episode talking about non-fungible tokens. We're going to talk with the folks at ChainGuardians, and they are going to talk a little bit about how the overall space is blowing up. I mean, I think that's a given right now, but a unique perspective on their front as well, because they're doing a non-fungible token project, and obviously they know the most about what's happening in the NFT space. I think on a daily basis, I am reading articles where some crazy art is being sold for $6 million, or like yesterday Labs themselves, they were doing NFTs for their cards, and they were generating like they caught like $2 million as well. These numbers are huge, and I think this is a situation where you have to pay attention to what's going on in the NFT space. There's a lot of fluff as well. I mean, I think this is one of the hottest markets out there, but it's a lot of the fluffiest and I think it's also got some undertones as well. And I think we're going to discuss that and have a fair view about that in today's episode. So everything is going to be packed in here. If you guys are just coming on, I know this might be an information overload, but do ask questions in chat. I do read the chat right here. Also, of course, if you guys are new to cryptocurrencies, make sure you guys follow this channel. We have a lot of tips, news, and updates that keeps you informed. And the whole point of this channel is to not just be like any other crypto channel or news channel. It's to provide actual insight. I've been in the space since 2012, made plenty of mistakes, and the whole point is that we share them, right? There's a lot of hype that happens, and we've been through multiple cycles, and just gaining the understanding of how news and how hype and human emotion always affects each other, that's quite important. So this is a good point for research, is a good point for understanding what's happening, but it is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I do this mostly for fun, to share my experiences, and that's been doing, well, super well. So if you guys are new here, make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe button down below, notification bell as well to be notified. We get some spontaneous live streams sometimes happening too. And of course, to help this channel, make sure you smash up those likes. It really does help. It's absolutely free. I've been trying, I really do appreciate it, guys. It really does help the channel. It's a YouTube thing. Just make sure you smash up those likes. Just destroy that like button, pump that up, and we're good to go. Let's get started today. All right, so we always start by an overall view, look at the markets, and it is, well, okay, if you look at the majors, right? If you look at the majors, not too much happening here. So Bitcoin and Ethereum front, not too much, right? Bitcoin's moving to 57,000, steadily climbing, so around 1.5% per day. If this was the normal stock market, the traditional markets, people will be freaking out, oh my God, 1%. But in crypto, obviously, in crypto land, we got 1%, meh, not much change at same thing goes with Ethereum. It's important to state that Ethereum and Bitcoin, they kind of really dominate what's happening in the whole cryptocurrency scene. So if Bitcoin moves up aggressively, it's really good for the overall market. But during a Bitcoin rally, of course, then altcoins also bend the knee a little bit as well. So right now, in this current situation where both Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two biggest cryptocurrencies out there, because they're not moving too aggressively today, we definitely see a lot of action in the altcoin space. People are looking to the altcoins for some of those growths, right? So this is altcoin season coming back. So we have some major increases for Scale and Polygon. They both do literally, they do scaling, all right? Scale, obviously by its name. Polygon is Matic. It's a rebranded form of Matic, which it does multi-chain, and it works with scaling Ethereum in a way that doesn't involve or doesn't need Ethereum 2.0 right now, but we'll explore that in the future. We have Matic coming on this channel soon. But yeah, it's explosive growth, actually. 54% on Polygon, 87% on Scale. Chiliz is up as well. Chiliz, they're doing fan token sports. They're getting these big football clubs involved. Yep, that's it's happening. It's mostly related to, of course, those like that scene of setting up a community. All right. So I think that this is what's happening. You definitely see the asymmetry here where you see a lot more growth in the altcoin space. So if you look at the top 100 coins, you definitely see a lot more green than red, and the magnitude, right? Looking at the magnitude of that increase is a lot more. So you definitely see the asymmetry, the altcoin season coming into play here. And this also goes the same with the top 200s as well. The market is exploding at this current point. You definitely see a lot of movement overall and a lot of attention being paid to the alts right now. So we're definitely seeing that early altcoin season. Is it the fully craziest altcoin season I've seen? Not yet. But I definitely see that intention being focused on the alts. And looking at the charts as well, I definitely see that coming through. You see Ethereum. So for ETH, we have 1800 right now for ETH, and the way that I've seen it is that ETH is kind of moving within these two bars right here. So it has a resistance. So we try to touch 2000 yet like before being previously, and we also have some support at 1300. So it's kind of in between these bars. It's kind of a little bit undecided on where it's going to go next. We definitely see that there's a lot of influence also coming from the stock market. Stock market's being a little bit undecided on the moment. It was a little bit down earlier this week, and then realized, okay, maybe that's not a good idea, moving up a little bit of like indecision in the market, and that's also bleeding over to crypto as well. So we definitely see that, and this is why it's kind of a prime time for all the alts to come in, where there's a lot of explosion in terms of growth, a lot of new excitement, where people are looking for that. They're kind of looking for the new unicorns in the alt currency space. We know that with crypto, it's kind of funny, right? With crypto, there are a lot of big companies being built up right now. We definitely see Coinbase is one of the original unicorns. And if you look at the valuation of that, it's crazy, right? It's nuts. So people are looking inside the altcoin space to see what are the next blue chips, what are the next unicorns as well that are going to come out in the space. And this is where there's a frenzy of activity. Not all of it's good. Right now, I definitely see that scene also going towards a bubble as well. This is almost what happens with human nature. Humans always have a tendency of just going crazy into something when they like it, and then they freak out. Fear of missing out becomes a major factor. And I definitely see that FOMO coming into the market right now. You definitely see, once you see, like 3 or 4 coins going above 50%, and then you have double-digit increases on the rest. It's pretty exciting. It's that fear of missing out. People don't want to miss out on the next trend. Here, obviously, with me, I've been a lot more kind of controlling my emotions, of course, and something that I'm very grateful of recently is because I have positions in these coins already. I've been not just looking at entry and exit points, but I'm also looking at how much exposure I want to X, Y, and Z. That's kind of the way I've been looking at projects at this current point. So take, for example, Matic. I think Matic was one that I did not have exposure in. It was one of the coins that very, very early on, I didn't really like too much because of just the amount of hype versus the amount of development. But recently, what I've been doing was like I told you guys that I had an interview, and not an interview, just a phone call with Sandeep, and it was just amazing. This was a situation where I do have to kind of slap old Boxmining in the face and say, look, this guy, he knows his stuff. It was a situation where we both just kind of circled each other, try to figure out what we both knew. He was super smart. Every time, I showed a little bit of weakness and where I didn't know too much about the scaling that he knew, he pushed really hard. He said, Matic solves this. I noticed that about him. And also I pushed him on tech as well. I wanted to make sure that he wasn't bluffing either. It was a great chat. So we're going to have a little bit of that on next week. We're trying to schedule an interview with Matic to find out what's going on, to give you guys a little bit of the action. But that was when that was my turning point. That was when I talked to this guy and I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy knows where to go, and that's kind of why I took up positions. So I didn't really think about too much. I think I took a Matic position at 20 something cents. It was not the cheapest time to take a position, but it's been doing super well so far. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty happy about what's happening. So FOMO/FUD. Okay, so that's kind of what's happening on the general markets. We got Bitcoin also pretty much echoing the same thing. So it's not too much going on in terms of the action there. And now let's move a little bit on to the news front. So very quickly on the news, we have CoinDesk announcing that Binance has tapped former U.S. Senator and Ambassador for China Max Baucus to act as a policy advisor to work with U.S. regulators. So this is actually pretty huge. This is what Binance was hinting at for the longest amount of time. And you definitely see that Binance also kind of moved up. It's trying to touch 300 right now. But why is this important? Because right now, this is the unfortunate part about politics, right? It's not just about what you do, but who you know and who you use to push your voice forward. It's unfortunate, but you definitely see that. You see how various industries in the past, and I think you see a lot of documentaries nowadays highlighting this, right? You see where there's something like the milk industry, the meat industry, the food industry. They'll hire people to push them forward in terms of policy making and in terms of regulation. So this is a big fist cannon for cryptocurrency adoption. So this Baucus, he's worked under Barack Obama. He's been serving the U.S. Senate House of Representatives for nearly 40 years. Definitely has a lot of authority there and understanding. And this is quite important. I mean, I don't think we would have imagined this like 10 years ago when Bitcoin was around, where there would be these long-term senators both understanding and pushing crypto forward. And I think this is important. It also definitely demonstrates how broken politics is. I think this is quite apparent for you guys, where if you want something done, you got to hire the correct people to push it forward. It is unfortunate. I think this is the one unfortunate part about politics that I really hate, where it's all about where the people that you have, and money does have a huge portion of this. Once a business is profitable, they can start pushing for regulation in their favor as well. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it is also very powerful for crypto because it allows crypto to be pushed forward. If you have someone who really understands crypto, who can call the BS, I mean, you guys probably watched a Senate discussion on Facebook Libra. If you were in that hearing, if you were at the live hearing, you would be face palming at how little the House knew about what's happening in the cryptocurrency space, what was going on. And that was just like, it was sad to watch because they had so little knowledge. So I think the value here of this is that someone who actually who's kind of joining Binance to push that forward, they understand crypto and they can correct their peers. This is very, very necessary at this current point. So I feel like that's kind of the value here. So we also have some positive news on this as well. We have, let me just give a quick refresh. So we got Bitcoin's pricing status. Analyst says Bitcoin consolidation nearly complete. This is something that people definitely want to see at this point. And we definitely see a little bit of that going on, right? If you look at Bitcoin prices, It's been going steadily up. We had a few fears, but you can definitely see past 7 days has been, just up without big falls. I mean, it's not a guarantee that this consolidation is over, but we definitely saw that there was a period around 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was intentional fear on the market, right? We saw these big movements of Bitcoin funds out of F2 pool into exchanges. It was intentionally trying to spook the market out. Oh, miners are dumping. They're trying to cause these major headlines like, oh, miners are dumping, fear is coming, Bitcoin's going to 20K. We definitely saw that around 1 to 2 weeks ago. But now moving to this state, you can definitely see it was very much an intentional kind of intentional wrong signaling that was coming out. And yeah, so the consolidation phase is coming. I mean, obviously people want to hear that, so I'll leave it at that for now. All right, so we also have Solana news. We have Tether tokens are going live on Solana. This is going to be super happy for people who are on the Solana ecosystem or very into Serum or into FTX. They've just got the Tether tokens on Solana blockchain. I will do an overview on Solana. I think that's like I've talked a lot. I've been very skeptical about Solana for a long time, and I've actually grilled Sam really hard on this. Sam Bankman-Fried, he is the CEO of FTX, but also a big investor in Solana, and he's building the Serum ecosystem on Solana. So one of the reasons why is because Solana doesn't actually require layer 2 scaling. It's can scale directly on its original layer. The interface is horrific right now, I would say, but actually, in terms of the tech, they're super powerful. So we'll actually have to take a look at that soon. Anyways, I still haven't had the time to make enough videos for this, but it's coming. We also have a largest round of raise for Series D for Bitcoin lending platform BlockFi in the news. Man, money is being thrown at crypto companies these days. $350 million in the latest funding round. Bain Capital Partners, DST, Pomp Investments, Morgan Creek Digital, you definitely see that there's so much money flowing into crypto space right now. Like the crypto VCs right now are just having a field day. I've been talking about this earlier this week as well, where you definitely see a lot of these crypto funds. They want to make major investments. They have a lot of money and they don't have anywhere to deploy it, right? This is like a crypto only problem, right? When you have a lot of money and you don't know where to spend it, that's a good problem to have. But we definitely see that happening this year, where there's more and more funds, like big funds, that are raising capital in crypto, right? They take funds, like there's family offices, there's VC firms. We definitely see that as a trend happening. And you definitely see that FOMO coming in as well, because after Elon Musk said that he was buying $1.5 billion of Bitcoin, obviously everyone wants to jump on board. Not everyone knows how to do it. So this is where, there's a flock. We see a flock of people entering exchanges. We have more and more crypto funds popping up. We have large raises like this going through $350 million. This is kind of the current trend, and this is what's going to power this current move, this current wave as well. All right, we also have this is weird. So Twitter accounts were suspended earlier this week. So I saw Crypto Dog, Willy Woo also got suspended. It was very, very weird how Twitter accounts was being suspended this week. Yet again, we don't have any official announcements or kind of talk from crypto from that side. But yeah, this is alarming. Luckily for me, I did not get suspended. So luckily for me here, it was not there. But yeah, so apparently Wall Street's bets community and crypto community were targeted, and we'll have to see. But I know that Crypto Dog had his accounts back, but it's just weird on Twitter's side. Like, this is the kind of abuse that a lot of people on Twitter have to take, and including me, including having a risk of our accounts banned all the time. I'm not sure if it's like a silencing to silence people, or it's like it's very likely to also be an algorithm gone bad. Like maybe it's an algorithm to target scammers and it went bad and it just target real legit people. Who knows at this current point? But yeah, a little bit worrying as a trend. On that note as well, this is probably a lot more intentional. So Weibo, all right, this is the Chinese Twitter, all right. So Weibo is the Chinese equivalent of Twitter. The reason why is also because Twitter is also banned in China. You can't access Twitter. You can only access Weibo, all right. So Weibo, the Chinese media app, actually suspended major crypto exchanges, so Huobi, Binance, OKX, and MXC accounts. So this is very, very recent. And this is because Bitcoin is also trending in China. So it could be that this is it's much less direct, right? You know, when influencers get suspended, okay, but when exchanges get suspended, it's definitely a political move, right? Because the exchanges are verified with Weibo, etc. So this is a case where it might be the case that China wants to keep a lid on how much excitement there is on the cryptocurrency scene. We definitely know that China is kind of in that in between zone right now. So China, they formally banned cryptocurrencies in 2017, but crypto didn't go away, right? So exchanges like OKX and Huobi, they can no longer operate their fiat on-ramps. They can no longer take fiat. But what happened was that there is a thriving OTC community right now in China. So instead of having direct exchange access, they have access to peer-to-peer or to OTC desks that allow them to get crypto. So I think a lot of people misunderstand it. They think that China is out of the picture. It is not. There's a lot of Chinese in crypto right now. And at this current point, China probably wants to keep a lid on this. They were facing a hard situation last year. So last year, because they're pushing out DCEP, digital currency electronic payment, which is their national digital currency, it borrowed a lot of elements away from crypto, right? So this was a currency that they were massively pushing for adoption so that the Chinese would have a digital version of their national currency. The CBDCs are huge this year. I mean, China pretty much led this, right? But in doing so last year, they had to also give face to crypto because this is the technology behind DCEP borrowed from Bitcoin. So they kind of had to subconsciously give face to crypto, and they had to kind of say some good things. They put Ethereum on the news, they put Bitcoin on the news, but they probably figured that right now it's getting a little bit too hot, so they want to press it down a bit. But something that we do notice is that every time the government tries to suppress something, the community returns tenfold, right? I think a lot of people don't realize this, but this is what's kind of happening on in a psychological level, right? Where when the government tells you don't do this, people just flock to it, and that's definitely something that could be happening could be happening soon as well. All right, so we have some other news. We got Goldman Sachs' customers' demand for Bitcoin is rising, says the CEO of Goldman. Yes, definitely can see that happening. And then we see, okay, to recognize that. This is interesting. We also have this here, which is Wyoming bill to recognize DAOs as companies approved by the Senate. So this is interesting. This is where moving into new regulation side, moving into new space where, yes, absolutely, we see that there is a lot of new innovation in this space, but a lot of uncertainty where this decentralized autonomous organization can go. So anyways, we'll pay a little bit more attention. This is where, again, are these fully companies? What is a governance token, right? This is something that's in the backside of DeFi for a while. What is a governance token? All right, what is the legal standing here? And you can definitely see that regulation is scrambling to keep up with that here. So now we're going to make a transition. So we're going to do a very quick transition very soon to the folks at ChainGuardians. So we're talking a little bit about NFT space. I definitely have this news article up here where there was a mind-blowing sale of a $69 million non-fungible token in the Christie's auction. And we're going to bring on board the folks at ChainGuardians. They've been in this NFT space. They have a new platform that allows you to both play games, also to have a superhero experience with your NFTs. So we're gonna bring on board Emma and Eero. So give me a sec. Let me just double check. So this is one of those transitions that's gonna be very, very hard because I'm trying to transition on live, but I'm also a one-man band. So I just saw them pop in on Zoom. right now. So let me just see what's happening there and say hi to everyone. But let me put my headphones on.
Hey.
All right, cool.
Hey.
So you guys are live. We just brought you guys on. So I had an
Nice.
issue on just now because I didn't have the audio on, but I can hear you guys now. Welcome, 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 guys. You guys have been doing
Thank
NFT
you.
space for some time. We also just talked just now about this crazy NFT that was sold at Christie's.
Oh, I saw
for
the news. Yeah.
$69.3 million.
That's
What do you
it,
guys? What do you guys think about that? I'll start off with that. What do you guys think of these crazy NFT auctions that are going on?
It just makes us look good.
All right, so
I love it. It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. Did you expect this? I mean, like for
Definitely not.
art.
They say, no, I guess it went much more higher than I expected, right? Because I know there's a lot of action. I mean, NFTs hot lately, but then I definitely didn't expect like a $69 million sales of one single digital art. It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy, and I think I threw shade on this earlier, right? Where I said, I totally did not expect people to pay for like a digital image, right? You can download this, right? Like, why would you pay $69 million for something you can download, right? Like I could just download a GIF of this. It's non-fungible. But I think there's a lot of elements there. So I guess to start off, let's get some of your experience in this NFT space. Let's give a little bit of intro. So we have Emma and Iro. Sorry. Idon. Sorry. So I keep thinking Iro. I don't know why I keep thinking Iro. Idon. So we have Emma and Idon here. Okay.
We'll let Idon to start because he's also known as the NFT professor. So he can comment about the $69 million art just sold today.
Yeah, no, I just want to comment on that for sure. I think we're still very early in the days of digital art because, as you know, blockchain is kind of immutable. So the people like the early artwork were like earlier, just like the CryptoPunks, right? Like they were the very first NFTs. They have value because they were like the very first. Imagine like you have the very first piece of artwork, right? Like think about 10 years or 30 years down or 50 years down the road. You're like, oh, remember like back in the day, these were the first NFTs. So I think we're still very early. So it's gonna well, it's immutable, so it can last forever. So
yeah,
so it's like discovering Ethereum in 2016 type of thing. 17.
I think so. I think that there is a bit of that. I mean, I think the analogy here would be like, say, baseball cards or Pokemon cards. When people first saw these, and they wouldn't be, they would thought, oh, this is not going to be a thing, but it became a collector's thing, right? Over the decades, as people start collecting items, even Coke cans, right? Like, who would have thought Coke cans are collectible? But it is. There's a market out there, right? And we're kind of seeing that. I do say that it is a little bit crazy. I think $69 million is not a small sum of money. Do you think there's also a lot of like OG crypto people who just want to funnel money into this, or just at least buy something? I guess they have too much money. Is that a case where crypto people have too much money?
Well, I think it definitely helped having Ethereum went up from like 100. I think it went up as low as $80 to like 1,800. So I mean, if you divide back down, that is still they're spending more like 100K still, right? So even if you were to buy early, but I know a lot of people easily, like when it was around 100 or 150, a lot of people easily buy like $200 ETH for assets back then. Because I guess I've been in the NFT space. I try to not only obviously develop in the NFT space, but I try to also kind of talk to a lot of other devs, but also engage myself, like, which means spend money on the NFTs. And sometimes, like, I can't tell my wife, but it's like, I just bought another NFT and it's only like, 7K, and that's fine, 7K.
It's only 7K, right? So you're an NFT buyer too. So you've also been collecting NFTs.
Oh yeah.
He is one of the bigger collector, like leaking. He's been collecting for too long.
Oh wow!
Since 2017.
All right. So since 2017, you have been collecting NFTs, right? Have you made money on this? So is it sentimental value or is it an investment right now?
I think it's a bit of both. I think there was obviously a period of time which it went down a lot, right? But the good thing is it's always kept. I think a lot. You have the two camp. Do you keep your NFT in ETH value, right? Because most of our NFTs are ETH, so I'm not too familiar with other NFT in other spaces. But do you keep it in ETH value or do you keep it in USD? But I think the original collection, like, because the original collection kind of the CryptoKitties, you have the Ethermon, you have also the Ethercraft. So like these original OG ones, people kind of buy them, and then they don't sell it. Like even like when it went all the way down, they're like, oh, I'll sell it for 0.5 ETH. That was how much I bought it for. So like you definitely see this camp of original OG people that was there, and they continue to just hold the same value in NFT. And what I was very surprised about is when Ethereum went back up, right, from like $100 to like 1,800, people still sell at the same ETH price. Yep. So you still definitely had a lot of that, be able to maintain that value. So one of the key things that we've been struggling with, and then we came to a conclusion of, is we have this original series. They sold for 10 ETH to 20 ETH per character. But then we wanted to kind of keep those value as if, hey, even though ETH went up, we're going to keep it in ETH. If we don't sell it, that's fine. Forever, that's the baseline price we're going to set it. But then that kind of goes in conflict a little bit of the other challenge we have, which is, okay, we're going to mainstream mass market now. So I do want to get this out a lot. So what we decided to do is our earlier collection, whatever the ETH price was, they're going to be that ETH price. If they don't sell it, then therefore, we leave it. But
they
fortunately,
still sell.
we sold it. Fortunately,
yeah,
it sold as fast as we can click the sell button.
That's insane. That's insane. So I think there's a few key things.
Yeah.
I think there's
I told the artist, right? So he won't believe it. His art was selling for like, what? You sold my art for 10 ETH? How much is it? It's like 1,800 times 10. I was like, nobody buys my digital art. It's just a digital art. Why can't I just like download it, right? He has no idea. I was like telling him, he's like,
holy
no.
Shit.
Yeah.
This must be a game changer for artists. I mean, I've worked with artists in the past, and I think a few things I want to highlight there. So that's very interesting that the OG collectors always think in ETH prices. That's actually quite interesting because you have a lot of the OG traders for Bitcoin. They think of every coin in Bitcoin price, right? So a lot of the OGs probably are thinking of these collectibles in ETH price, and because ETH moved up so much, we have these giant fiat values.
Like, so cheap now! Finally, I can buy.
Exactly.
And it feels good spending. It's like in US dollars, it's like, oh yeah, I used to spend like $500. Now I can spend like 10,000. I feel good. Just because you're like saying, hey, I spent like $10,000 on that item, which months ago was only $500.
So it's for those ETH maximus. And then also I think this trend, I definitely think genuinely benefits artists, right? So I think that's one thing that you said as well. Like, the artists can take a cut. And we've also talked a little bit about, transactional value as well. Like later on, they can benefit from future transactions too. That's a possibility in crypto. We've seen that where you can have a royalty on a transfer and the artist can take a bit. So I think the artist for sure can benefit. So was your artist ecstatic when he found out his art was being sold for $18,000, like a digital art? Was that what
he did not believe me. I actually asked him to watch this live. I asked him to join. He won't join. He said he need to get some Botox first before he can join the call. I asked him to say, hey, you want to jump on the call with Boxmining? He's probably watching. I don't know. He'll kill me. But then he did not believe me. He think that was like just lying to him. Yeah.
Wow. But does he get a cut?
It wasn't just one. Yeah, no, of course. He's part of our core team. He gets more than a cut. Yeah, no. We love him too much. Giving him a cut is not enough. Yeah.
Got it.
One of the things, Michael, the other thing is like about access, right? Like I think that's going to be one of the big things. So like imagine in the future when we can actually, still go out there, we set up a gallery, like a chain. That's our kind of one of our long-term vision, cool things to have is having like a gallery where people come to say, hey, this is Gen 1, Gen 2, like all the ChainGuardian, the history, like a museum. But only if you have NFTs, that's your pass, that's your access. Because NFT is tied to you, then you can use that as a ticket to say, hey, you can only come access these exclusive events, with other prizes and giveaway, like physically, just given the fact that you have NFT as access. So there's tons of things that can be done other than farming, which is also popular these days.
All right, so we talked a bit about NFTs. Let's give an intro. So so ChainGuardians, you guys are been working. So You've been collecting NFTs for a while. You're starting. You created ChainGuardians. That's actually been launched this week. Can you give me just a brief intro of what ChainGuardians is? What's your take on everything here?
I'll just make it very simple first. So ChainGuardian is NFT plus gaming plus blockchain superhero. Very high level. Now I then pass over to you.
Okay, yeah, and I do the
CEO,
more complicated
very high level. Yes.
Yeah, so So I think in a sense that since we being very early into the NFT space, I mean, we as early as before ERC20, ERC721 standard was even created, we start looking at into NFT. Some of the contract we developed early on wouldn't even meet the that wasn't even part of the standard. Later on, we had to make it a standard. But one of the key things we came to realize fairly quickly, I think there was two main themes that came out of it. A is we wanted to create very exclusive art that actually it's very meaningful for a very long time. So we look at a lot of the games out there, and a lot of them you will see a lot of it use kind of the randomized character, right? I don't want to say they're bad, but they're definitely different class, but very popular. Which means like I'll just use CryptoKitty as an example. You have many games like that, which is you randomize different parts and compose something unique. So we thought, although that was very cool, it's you cannot very much tie a unique image to it. So which means other than maybe like the number one, the CryptoKitty, like the Generation 01 that that floats in the air, most of them they don't have a name. Like you don't really remember, or like you can't say, oh, I have actually, you can't call them out by name. So we want to create something to say, yes, it's an NFT. It's very rare, but also you can put an image to your mind. So the best thing that we came to at is, okay, we're going to create something that's very different from a artistic perspective. Like at the same time, you see a lot of people that actually start using like other, quick artwork. Like, hey, I'm gonna make a image of like, Ethereum founder as kind of, a card like that you can collect. But we're like, that's good, but they really doesn't spend a lot of effort. Like each of our characters, we spend like our heart and soul, like literally like 4 to 6 weeks at minimum to think about what should that look like? What is the ideal superhero that represent, like the Ethereum founder? Like, his Russian, like what is his like, if you see our NFT card for Seth, which is, after Ethereum, we put like at least 8 to 10 different images around that. So we really want to create.
Let me show that on screen very quickly for you guys
Thank
here.
you.
Let me just pop that on screen. Give me 1 second here, guys. Let me pop that on
Thanks,
screen of your
Mike.
characters.
Yeah.
So I definitely see that. Like, and I think it's interesting, right? Because CryptoKitties is generated, so everything is randomly generated. You have kitty number, 99642. It's generated, it's unique. But what you're taking is these different approach where you have a character that you thought of and has a name. So it's almost like the Mona Lisa, right? It's not Leonardo painting 99621. It is the Mona Lisa, right? He's gonna take it everywhere. You're gonna take it everywhere, right? So we have different characters so it's all superhero themed. It's all superhero. So every chain is represented by a it's like almost an avatar representation of that the chain, right?
Yeah, our
so
early slogan was every chain needs a guardian.
Yeah. So we got the Binance guy. I think that's most recognizable because he's got the Binance armor. I think I was looking at Seth. Seth, he's cool, right? But he doesn't have the he's not armored up like crazy. I guess I like the armor ones. It's all about the shoulders in the World of Warcraft.
We also actually work with the project too. So Idon haven't started on that. Just for a lot of the Guardian, we actually got to work with the project. So they kind of tell us that how they want the Guardian to look like. For the Binance one, we did work with Binance to develop the Guardian. So it's a lot of effort just go back and forth between us and the project to design something that our artists kind of created based on the requirement from the project. So it's very interesting.
Early on go ahead. Oh no, just saying early on we didn't do revealing, but like when we do it like going forward, we're actually gonna have a lot of revealing which means we're actually gonna talk about like, hey, this is brand new hero and this is all the concept behind. Because in the past, there's so many concepts behind it. We didn't actually want to just let people look at the art and try to figure out what's in there, because Matic Polygon was we want to use Mudra, which is an India god, and the team was based from India, and Mudra actually mean money as well. So there's just so many elements.
He's money. He's money. All right. This is something I can stand behind. He's a money guy. All right. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I know the fortune god of China, but I didn't know the fortune god of India. Now I know Mudra is the one. So you created a avatar, a hero for each chain, right? So this will be collectible. This will be something that people can keep, and this is a name. This is like the Generation 1, right? So that's kind of how it works, right?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that a little bit. So at the very highest rank, they're the ChainGuardians. So which means we design character for each chain. So they most ChainGuardians are essentially based off of chain. So which means that's why early on we picked Ethereum, Dash, Bitcoin, and most of the chain. Now, including Matic, it's a chain. But now we have kind of other characters which we call guardians, which they are reputable places or project, right? For example, in this case, Binance, they're just as strong, but he's not a chain guardian per se, because he's not part of a chain, but he's the guardian
Binance is a chain in a way. BSC.
Oh, okay. Now Binance, so Binance is now also a chain because BSC. So okay, yeah, Binance is a chain.
Oh,
Sorry.
you should talk about the Binance. Now you might as well just leak what we're gonna do next with Binance chain. Or not supposed to talk about it.
Oh, okay. You can talk about it. You're CEO.
No, I don't want to talk about it. Since you say Binance is not.
Yeah,
no, we've been developing something.
Yeah. Because our very, very first character was actually in partner with OpenSea. So in that case, we actually made them a captain character because they wasn't exactly a chain per se. But so we are very encompassing, right? We want to kind of be able to cover, key projects that make a blockchain difference. We want to capture blockchain history. Essentially, is what we're trying to do.
Got it. So it's about capturing blockchain history. So finding a character and finding a story. So that's kind of an interesting approach because people have a lot of passion for the projects they follow, right? So we definitely see that in our community too. There's people who really stand firm behind a project they really like. So you're kind of creating this story, this avatar to represent that chain and to have a digital collectible art for that too. So for people to collect. And obviously, of course, I think the next element here is not only can they collect these characters, but they can enter a game with that. So how does this all fit in with everything here?
So Idon is going to talk about because you're the gamer. No, we actually created 2 different games for our NFT holders. So one of them is almost like a mining game. That's almost like gamified mining game. You know how it's basically the concept is from the traditional gaming, so traditional mining. And so each of the NFT, we actually assign a hash rate. And it's almost representing like a miner machine, like a Bitcoin S9 machine has like X hash rate. And then each NFT card, we assign a hash rate based on the rarity. We also work with different projects. They can also join our cryptoverse, we call it. They can also mine it with their NFT or our NFT to actually earn rewards. So the idea is basically make the mining fun. It's almost like they don't really have to own like a real money. You need to buy a mining machine. You also needed to use, pay your electricity. But for the mining game, you basically just have to buy an NFT and then basically sign up with our website and you can start playing and then earn basically. And I didn't talk about.
So I mean that's a good way to distribute the NFTs to people who care about it, right? Like if they already have the token, they can stake the token, they can start mining that NFT, so they can get these characters by just holding the token and building that community, right? So if they're already part of a community, they can go in, get some NFTs, right? So that's the first step, right? So if you guys do have like say Matic or you guys have Binance coin, but on Ethereum, right? But if you have that, you can start staking and earning your NFT tokens to build up your story. Right. And then so that's the first element, right? So the simple element where you just get these collectibles by staking down a token. So you get them for free, right?
Yeah, so I think there are essentially 2 elements. I think first one, like Emma said, people get this superhero character. We wanted to make sure after you get a character, other than you can play a game with it, because we are blockchain gaming. So we do have a full RPG game, which I'll touch on in a bit. The whole concept was even just having the asset. You think about the NFTs as a piece of artwork, but at the same time, how can you make, when you have this, now in traditional sense, you can put your artwork in a museum and therefore you can collect money for people coming in. So we're thinking all kinds of different ways as early as 2-3 years ago in terms of, okay, how do we how does the asset work for you, just like money? So therefore we start coming up with this idea to say, okay, I'm going to give them some useful purpose. So in this case, we created this NFT mining game, which means you can stake it to start, earn other currency just because you have proof of stake or proof that ownership. And I think it's also a good way where a lot of other NFT games are now catching up now, right? The idea of NFT farming came out, but what we actually came out with just like 2 years ago was the idea of called NFT mining. It's gamifying NFT farming as early as 2 years ago. We're right now in block 36,000 or so, which means each of our block drops every 20 minutes. It's what you call model after Bitcoin. Reason why we model after Bitcoin is because Emma and I previously we actually are only operation doing cryptocurrency mining, so we know the mining space very, very well. So we're like, okay, we can gamify the idea of NFT farming into NFT mining. So which means each of your NFT is now like a mining rig. So it was very early on, but I think now I think people are catching up on the idea of using NFT to farm. But then we were really looking at even gamifying that, as early as 2 years ago. So now, according to the blog, we're now pretty much almost 600 days in terms of our main net of people able to, come to our platform, use our NFT and use any of our partners' NFT to stake and earn all kinds of different tokens.
Got it. Okay, so that's the first part. That's the NFT mining. What's the second part?
So second part is our RPG game. So the idea of creating an RPG game there was actually quite interesting. We wanted to make a game, but all the game when we started 2 years ago was all very basic, right? Which means a web-based game. It didn't really tie to any real gameplay elements. So we wanted to do something that we eventually become that can do mass market adoption. So we went down the route of creating an RPG game. We tried to add a lot of interesting elements. I'll give you one example. One of our earliest, I'm trying to see if I can find it here, was a watch, like an NFT watch. That has an NFC. I don't know where.
I have one. Let me get one.
So I'll show you. Yeah. Okay. I found it.
You found?
Yeah. So you found it at the same time. So we created these watches. I don't know if you can see it very well. Sorry for the lighting. We created these watches as early as when we first started the project. It has a near field communication chip inside. When you tap it against a watch, it would actually show a proof of authenticity on the watch, and you can launch the game from the watch. The watch is actually binded with a token. So when you buy a token, it came with a watch. The watch recognizes the token. So in a way, you can take your watch and use that as access. So it's actually kind of a cool concept. Again, as early as 2 years ago, we had these merchandises out. So idea there was if you're playing the RPG game, halfway through the RPG game, you can now tap your watch to execute a special move. So that's something I already developed. We released probably within a month or two. Where halfway through the RPG, if you want your captain character, this watch was modeled after the captain. Then if you tap your watch, then it's going to execute a special move. If you don't tap the watch, it's just going to execute a basic move. Now PvP is coming next. Okay, so now take this to the next level because we are trying to do a lot of partnership and also become an esport. Which means imagine you're playing the RPG in PvP mode. Now it's okay. Now you have to tap a certain asset at the right timing in order for you to execute the right move. So all of a sudden you're like, it could be the watch, or it could be like, another plush toy.
I think this is kind of interesting, right? Because without going too deep, because I mean, obviously we have an audience of both gamers and non-gamers here. And I think it's taking the NFT and doing something with it, right? So the way and the reason why I'm pulled to this project, I think people are asking. I've been talking to Emma for quite a long time here, and the reason why I think this is quite important is because you can build something that's more than just a GIF or just more than a single element for the crypto, right? So for the NFT. So I think that's kind of what I'm looking for in this space, in a sense, because I feel like if it's just a digital item, it can only go so far. But now if it's a digital item attached to a video game or attached to a physical object, right, this can really push the concept to the next level, because now you have either a physical item that represents something or some sort of interaction. So what you're talking about just now was this interaction between not only NFT and a video game. You can have your NFTs in a video game, but you can also have a physical object that interacts with that video game too. So it's really taking that immersion to the next level, right? I think that's kind of the higher level, the high level understanding. It's like for people who don't understand video games, it's like this is not just art, but it's also a functional piece of art. I think that would probably be the way to put it there. So you're building this game around this. You have a story and an adventure, right? So I think that's kind of the really cool part that really brought me there. Was like, because previously I checked them out, and then I was like, okay, look, this game is super cool. There's a very good story element where you can just go in and play and enjoy the story for what it is, right? And it's a story built around blockchain. I think. Do you guys want to show a sample of that? Of what you have?
Actually, we have a community member, or one of our core members wanted to join. I think he's been waiting on the door. He wanted He's been with us since 2018. He wanted to be a surprise guest.
All right, cool. Sure. Let's
get
on. P. Thomas. Okay, let's get Thomas on board. All right, Thomas coming in. All right, thanks for pointing that out, Emma.
No. I told him to wait.
So yeah, we're just reading chat here as well since it's a live chat. So guys, do ask questions. We definitely have a very high level understanding of everything here. And if we go too deep, obviously, because if that's the thing I like to do in all my videos, I like to go deep, and then I realize, okay, we'll go all the way down on the rabbit hole, and then that's great. So I think he's I don't see him on, so I added him in, but I don't see his video feed.
He's
or his audio.
connecting. Yeah, he's trying to connect. Maybe. Yeah. What we could do is, let me see. Let me load.
So while you guys trying to figure out technical stuff, so I was just thinking the other day, because I don't know if we're allowed to talk about the new publishing paper stuff we're doing, Emma.
Just talk. It's okay. Robbie's not here to stop you.
Comic is going to be coming. So imagine you have the original NFT, like 20 years down the road, you have the original NFT, the original one-of-one comic signature by the artist, and then you have the watch in mint condition in a collectible set.
I love it. I can feel your passion from here. Right? Like it's like this is your dream. You're building out your dream. I can definitely feel that. Where this is like, this is what you love, and I think this is something that you can share as well. I think this is something that comic books have a huge collector base, right? I think people didn't know at that time that these things were going to be collectibles, but now you have an NFT, you have a story with it, you have a game with it, you have a comic books with it, you have a watch with it. So now you're building out that set, and people can really collect and get into something like that. So this is like, I definitely see that.
Don't miss out your second boat here. Emma, can you talk more about the artist, just the artist background? Emma,
I'm trying to load the video. That's why.
Oh, okay.
That music. He's Japanese. No, just kidding. No, the artist, he's actually he has worked for many interesting places before, such as DC Comics, done work for DC Comics, Nintendo, and many more. I forgot, his list is so long. I have to.
He's a veteran. He's a veteran. I definitely.
He's a veteran.
That.
Definitely
see that. Like,
he also has a YouTube channel if anybody wanted to check it out. Noise Takar, I think. Can't even pronounce his last name properly. He worked for DC Comics, Nintendo. He then works for Disney and stuff. It's pretty cool.
For knowing him for 20 years for not being able to pronounce his last name.
I'm the best friend with the wife. I'm the best friend with the wife, not him.
Ooh. All right.
That hurts.
All right, so so we got some questions out here. So we definitely have interest in the game. People are a little bit worried about some pay to win elements, and I think this is something that is definitely I'm aware of, because something that I've seen in the NFT space is that this type of digital art can go up for a lot of money. Right, so you can spend thousands of dollars on digital art, and you said that yourself that something can go up for like 10 ETH, which is at this point $18,000 for this piece of art. Now, if you bring that into a video game, it does bring up some questions, because when people have very, very valuable items in video games, these treasures, it creates imbalance in the game, right? Where some items are like, if I'm a player that I don't have a super powerful NFT, let's say I only spent $10 on this game and someone spent $18,000, right? How unfair would this be? Would there be any concerns in that front?
Yeah, so I want to talk about three things. Okay, so one, I think you talk about in general in terms of, does the most strongest character is he going to be superpowered? So obviously it's balanced. Now I'll talk a second thing, and I'll come back to the core point again afterward. The second thing is we do have free to play, so people are able to grind their time and to get relatively good character, and not being a guardian, but they're kind of the randomizer character. They're kind of the the crypto kitty type of randomizer attribute that you can farm and create, so you can still earn value from that. And there, I would say a rank of 0 to 100, they're around, they can get to as high as 60, 70. Now the upper echelon is going to be all this collective guardian, anywhere from a stats of 70 to 100. 100 is bitsy, and it has perfect perfection. So only 1 and 1 has 100. Now, what we're doing though is, which we talk about this game very early on, is you have two problems. You have the strongest power, but the second problem you have is, if I come in and invest today, is that going to be too late? Would I always be less powerful because I missed the boat many years ago? So the way that we solve this is, each guardian is natively more powerful on their own chain. So right now we have our very first game. So therefore you are the strongest. Bitsy is the strongest, and she has a native buff. You can have a, ETH comes in and he's not as strong. But when we launch our second title, actually many titles that's upcoming in the planning, a different game element is an Ethereum world. So ETH is now actually the most powerful because he's the strongest in his native world. So in the future, when we launch a brand new world, even though Bitsy and Seth will be very strong overall, but when they're in the new, let's just say, if I can leak a project that we're working with, let's just say, I'm not going to say if we're working with, but let's just say Avalanche.
There's so many alpha leaks here. All right, you gotta control yourself.
Okay.
That
So
excitement.
let's just say project A. Okay. So when we launch a world for them, for example, then the hero there would be the strongest. Bitsy and Seth, they're strong, but it comes in instead of their 100, they're now back to 90, and then therefore you kind of solve the problem. Like, hey, can I come in later in a brand new world and still be powerful, at least in my dominance area? But overall, yes.
So it's almost like seasons, right? So it's almost like seasons. We definitely have that idea of seasons in video games where, this is a season for, say, Bitsy's very powerful, or another champion's Guardian's very powerful. So I feel like that's the story element. I think as long as players know that, I think this is something that I'm very aware of, right? You don't want something to forever be overpowered, but you kind of know which kind of season you're in, and you have to make the decision whether or not to play or to really spend in that season. So I think that's a good way to deal with it. Definitely, of course, so full disclosure here, I am advisor for ChainGuardians, and for me, right? For me, the worst thing I always feel in video games is that if I'm a free player, I always fall behind. All right, so I feel like that's one way of dealing with it. It's not the most perfect solution, obviously, because you still have people who are very powerful at a certain point where they pay money to win. So players need to be able to feel that they're alive and they can play and they can get stuff. So I think one key element here is that players can get stuff in here, which is quite powerful, which is like, okay, if they're just playing the game, can they get items, and can they trade items? So I do have a question for you, how to deal with current transaction fees on Ethereum right now. So I guess we're towards the end of this video. I think you guys wanted to show a video as well. So I'll do two things. So first of all, I've kind of finished asking one of the last questions here, which is to do with scaling, because it's quite expensive right now to work on Ethereum. How are you guys going to deal with that? And also, we're going to check out the video Emma's going to show us. I think with Emma,
Is it this one?
all right, that's the game. That's the game so far. Nice.
Yeah. This is a game. So this is actually just a demo. We actually just so I'm gonna see. Oh, this is like PvP. So basically, I'm actually fighting with one of the community member, right? Yeah, you did not know. Enemy's turn. I guess he had to fight.
I thought it was head attack.
No. I don't know if he's actually. And let me see if he's online. I told him to wait. He waited so long. Did he attack me?
No. Yes, I saw the attack.
Oh, he did.
So
Okay.
So let's just explain what's happening here, because for me, I understand what's happening, but yet again, it's so you're having it's a turn-based combat, and you have all the characters there. So this is actually live. So there's someone on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a chess battle, right? So you can choose your moves and you can choose your actions, and you can interact. So it's turn-based, so the other person is also kind of countering your moves as well in that time on the side. So obviously there's also elements as well. You can definitely see elements on the top, so there is some depth to the game where you have a form of strategy where you're trying to counter someone's elements and counter their strategy, and then of course you're choosing your moves, and this is live right now, right? So this is like a player-to-player. Oh no! You're meant to win, Emma. You're meant to win. You gotta flash some cash now. You gotta
use
okay,
a real
Binance
account.
withdraw.
No, what we have to do, like Binance withdraw. Let me show. Actually, we also have RPG. I preloaded some actually. Just show a video.
Yeah,
this is RPG. The mini.
Just what I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of other secret information about the battle. Technically, the faster you can make your selection, you actually have a bonus when you attack. So it's actually there's a lot of deep elements to the game. Just
It's kind of cool because like this is you see like this is like definitely the top tier. You got all the cool characters coming on top. So they're fighting. They're going through the story. They got the story element. You got this. You get to interact with them. So that's pretty cool. Cool.
This is RPG. Yeah. Anyway, it just sounds fun to join. Yeah.
Nice. So that's a kind of bring. So to close this and wrap this full circle. So each of these characters, they're a non-fungible token. Now you're building out multiple games to kind of use these tokens and to give additional value to the community for that, right? So they're not just like an art, but they're characters, and they can also interact. There being two type of games right now. One is an NFT mining, the other is with the RPG. And so there's a role-playing game. You can go into an environment, you can have a story with them, and of course battle other players. This is the player versus player element, which is really exciting. So definitely guys, check it out. I think we talked about quite a lot of time about NFTs, and I think this is something that is very, very early on. And I think I'm pretty excited for this because we're seeing the birth of something new. I definitely see that. We talked about, you know, some crazy art that was sold for $69 million on Christie's. Definitely ChainGuardians, you guys have some crazy sales on your NFTs as well. And of course, there is a governance token for that. So congrats on the launch, guys. I definitely see the passion. I definitely see it. This is why I love you guys. I definitely see the passion coming in. And I definitely want to say, if you guys want to check it out, check it out. And I guess any final words? You guys have anything that you guys want to share? One final passion that you want to share with our community here?
Well, one thing that for myself personally is that as a person who likes to shop, so I'm pretty excited about this digital collectible. It gives me a good reason to buy things, right? I will be like, oh, they're valuable. You know, I can resell them. It's an investment. And then with this NFT space, there's so much more you can do on top of buying something that you like. You're owning it, and then you can, you know, it's more than just a pretty art that you can you know, look at it, but then there's like you can also earn from it. It's almost like an investment, right? Like you're earning return on your digital art. So I thought that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
And
I think so too.
In the future, I also just want we are so going to come out with a whole bunch of merchandise, and I'm actually pretty excited. Like I love design and fashion and stuff. There's so much we can do with those characters.
Yeah, like one of our dream and vision is we have your decentralized superhero here. Maybe one day we can do like a, you know, like Shiva versus Aquaman, and like Hero, which is like the big Hulk like guy against Hulk. That would be our dream. Like to be able to create like a game or something to, you know, mix the decentralized versus the centralized superheroes. There's a lot of deep story. Maybe on a different call we can go through like the whole lore and story of you know how the whole world and the gatekeepers and all that. So
and then next time I'll show a different account of my Binance account on the next call.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Definitely thank you guys for coming on. So I know there were some technical difficulties with Thomas. I think he couldn't come on, but thank you guys so much for watching today. I know my camera is already out of batteries. It's a good time for
sorry
us
about that.
No, it's just like I have a 1 hour time limit on, or 1 hour hour of batteries on my camera. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little talk with ChainGuardians and exploration of their ecosystem, and of course the NFT space. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. The next show would be on Monday. It'll be on Monday. Probably some surprise live streams on the way as well. We're definitely going to see where crypto is going next. We'll have some conversations. I hope you guys are excited. And we'll have to see what's going on. So Monday will be the next episode. I'll see you guys then. I'd like to take the time now to tell you a little bit about everything that's happening.
For watching. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. I'd like to take the time now to tell you a little bit about everything that's happening in the Boxmining ecosystem. First and foremost, if you guys like listening to all that's happening in crypto on the go, then I would highly recommend you checking out the Boxmining Bitcoin Out of the Box podcast. And the reason why it's called Bitcoin Out of the Box is because we have long interview segments very much exploring the detail of the newest and latest of what's going on in this whole cryptocurrency space. Whole idea of it is to bridge that gap between privileged institutional investors and the rest of us here in this space. Now, with the podcast, it's on everything. So it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google Podcasts, it's on Spotify. Just search it anywhere, Bitcoin Out of the Box. So just add that onto a playlist and then just follow the new episodes when it's released. Next up, we also have the Boxmining newsletter. So this happens roughly bi-weekly. We give you an update of the latest that's going on in a very summarized, condensed format. So this is perfect for anyone that wants an overview of the market. Say, for example, what's happening with OKX, the biggest event, or maybe the little things like what's happening with different coins and overall the trend. So what I use the newsletter for personally myself is to understand what kind of phase we're in crypto, to kind of get in tune. So if you don't read crypto every day, the newsletter is perfect for you. Last but not least, in the link down below, if you're a Telegram user, we have the Boxmining announcements channel. So this is to announce to you basically what's the latest videos coming up, but also we have a daily update, a community-driven daily update to provide you an idea of the latest updates on the day. And a lot of people have been using that to get informed of the crazy amounts of trends that we see. And I have to give a big thank you for Claudio, our community member, for doing this. It's just been phenomenal. Definitely want to give you a shout out there, Claudio, as well for that. And taking us to the end of the live stream, so make sure, number one, you click like and subscribe on this video because it really does help this channel. And then, of course, check out the podcast. It's one of the best ways to know a little bit more, to extend that knowledge, especially in your spare time. And then, of course, check out the newsletter. If you're, if you want those updates and summaries and trends, newsletter is the place for you. And with that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you have a good one. See you in the next video.